Hey, Cookies here. This is the Dragonflight Season 1 Mythic Plus guide for Holy Priests. Just to preface this video, YouTube videos do have a tendency to become outdated rather quickly, so be sure to use other resources and just use this as an overview to get you started, but be sure again to look at up-to-date resources. My recommendation is something like subcreation.net or Wowhead and the Icy Vein articles that are written, which I'll have links to all of these in the description below. It will do a good job of keeping up to date on lots of information, as we, as players, are not 100% sure yet on what the meta is going to look like, what trinkets we're going to be using, and specific talent builds that people will end up running in various key levels. And also, do be sure to subscribe to the channel and keep an eye out for my Healing Out Loud videos, where I talk more in depth about specific talent builds or spells or spell usage, and I do live commentary about them in various types of content like raids and Mythic Plus and all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, let's jump into the talents. Again, because of the up-to-date nature of YouTube videos and other online resources that are more reliable, instead of talking about an entire talent build and every talent you should be taking, I'm just going to talk about the talents that we know for sure are going to be essential. These are talents that are go-tos in Mythic Plus or dungeon content, so these are going to be something that you're always going to want to build the class around. So starting off with our spec talents, our Holy Priest-specific talents, this is going to be Lightweaver, Apotheosis, and Guardian Angel. Then on the class-specific tree, for the priest side of the tree, we have Power Word Life, and we have Twist of Fate. Now, the reason these talents are so good is because it buffs our single target healing, which Holy Priest lacks if you don't take single target healing talents. If you go for a more AoE focused build, then you are going to struggle for spot healing and triage healing, which is what is most important in Mythic Plus. On top of this, a lot of these talents are faster paced than AoE talents or other builds that we have available to us for something like raiding, which allows us, the faster we can heal and the more efficiently we can heal specific targets, the more we can go back to doing DPS, which is a big part of Mythic Plus, is helping do damage. So now we're going to go ahead and move into our stats. What stats should we have as a Holy Priest? So start off with item level. Just get as much item level as you can. Don't worry too much about the stats, honestly. But if you do want to min-max your stats, I would say for Mythic Plus, you're going to want to get a pretty decent amount of haste, pretty much as you can. It's a great stat to have, especially with this Lightweaver build, where we're casting lots of flash heals, and things like that. And then after that, you can go for either crit or verse. They're both about the same. Versatility just gives you a little bit more survivability, and critical strike will give you more damage and more healing than versatility. And then mastery, you can take it if you want. It's not a big deal. Again, if there's item level involved, you should just take it. But mastery only increases our healing and does not increase our damage whatsoever, whereas crit and versatility, they both benefit our healing pretty decently and increase our damage. So that's why they're usually taken over mastery. So now we're going to talk about our healing rotation. We start off by pressing Renew on the tank if we have Renewed Faith talented. So Renewed Faith is right here on the tree. Currently, I don't have it talented right now, but usually I was swapping this Afterlife point into Renewed Faith for Mythic Plus in the build that we're using. That's what I have right here. So if Renewed Faith is talented, you should probably just keep a Renew going on the tank. You can also spread this Renew to other players in the group if you know that significant group damage is coming up, as we get a 6% healing buff on players with Renew. Then after we keep Renew on the tank, then we can start pressing Holy Words and Power Word Shield. So this would include Holy Word Serenity, Holy Word Sanctify, and then our Power Word Shield. And we keep those three things on cooldown. Power Word Shield is a very short cooldown, but it's also a very efficient heal. Right now at level 60, it's shielding for 22,000 damage, which is basically the equivalent of like almost 3 flash heals. Obviously that one just crit, but... So after we have pressed Renewed on the tank, we have kept our Holy Words and our Power Word Shield on cooldown. We then start mixing in Flash Heals and Regular Heal. So those are two separate spells, Flash Heal and our Heal. And the way that we choose when we press Flash Heal versus Heal is with the Lightweaver talent. Every time that we press Flash Heal, we get up to 2 stacks of a buff called Lightweaver, and we can spend these stacks. You can see that it's a little green number right above my Prayer of Mending. So we press Flash Heal, we get a stack. We press another Flash Heal, we get another stack. But if I press Flash Heal again, it just stays at 2 stacks. So every time we get to 2 stacks, we then switch to pressing Heal. So it goes Flash Heal twice and then Heal twice. Or you can alternate by going, one regular flash or one Flash Heal and then one regular heal. As long as you're just generating and consuming these stacks, that's the important part. So that's how you alternate between Flash Heal and Heal. And then that's the healing rotation. That's literally it. So keep Holy Words on cooldown, press Power Word Shield on cooldown. It's our most efficient heal probably right now. And then after that, just start pressing Flash Heal to generate Lightweaver stacks, and then expend the Lightweaver stacks by pressing Heal. All right, and then we have our damage rotation. There's a lot of buttons involved in the damage rotation, but it's really not as complicated as it sounds. So first off, we want to be pressing Holy Fire. That's our most efficient damage spell. So just get used to pressing Holy Fire on cooldown when you want to start dealing damage. And then after this, you can start mixing in Shadow Word Pain. So we keep Holy Fire on cooldown. We keep Shadow Word Pain on the target, or targets if there's multiple of them. Then we want to start mixing in Holy Word Chastise, which is another pretty efficient damage spell. And then we press Smite. And the only other thing is we press Shadow Word Death if targets are below 20% HP as we get an execute damage. But otherwise, it's not really worth pressing. So again, just to go through it one more time. Holy Fire, Shadow Word Pain, Holy Word Chastise, then press Smite once we have all those things rolling. We have Holy Fire rolling, we have Shadow Word Pain rolling, and we've pressed Holy Word Chastise, and then we press Smite. All right, now to talk about some spell usage with Holy Priest. So first off, Divine Word. That's a talent that we'll be taking. I don't currently have it selected, so I'm just going to talk about it, and I'll just have the tooltip shown. So Divine Word, when we press it, the next time that we press one of our Holy Words, it will buff us for 15 seconds based on what Holy Word we pressed. So we press Chastise if we want to do damage for the next 15 seconds. We press Sanctify if we want to do sustained group healing. It just puts like a field that heals everybody on the ground. It's kind of like a healing rain that's really powerful. And then lastly, we press Serenity for triage healing. This is good when you need lots of upfront healing over the next 15 seconds, say for a really intense boss fight or something like that. It's hard to differentiate when you want to press Sanctify versus Serenity, but with the Lightweaver build specifically, Serenity will probably be your go-to a lot of the time. All right, and then we have Renew usage. I already talked a little bit about this. We want to press Renew if we have Renewed Faith talented and we want to do triage healing. And then also you press Renew if you've used Serenity as your choice for your Divine Word, because it increases Flash Heal, Heal, and Renew for 30% more, and they have an increased chance to crit. So that's when you would want to, you press Divine Word, you press Serenity, now you can renew everybody in the party for that group damage coming in, and it'll actually be a pretty substantial heal. And if we have, Renewed Faith talented on top of that, it does even more. All right, and then we have Power Infusion. I recommend for Power Infusion, use something like an add-on like Omni CD, or there's Weak Auras. I'll link the Weak Aura that I use in the description down below. To track offensive cooldown usage from people. Otherwise, if you don't want to make it like that complicated, or you don't don't know other classes well enough to know what their offensive cooldowns are or when you should PI them, just use it on classes with consistent damage. And the safe rule for this is just use it on melee DPS. So melee DPS tend to be less cooldown reliant and more just like they can consistently do damage to things. Whereas range DPS, they more rely heavily on their cooldowns in order to do damage, so you really need to make sure you line up your Power Infusion with their cooldowns. So if you don't want to worry about that, just every time you have Power Infusion up, just throw it on a melee DPS, and it'll be a pretty safe bet, and you really won't miss out that much compared to min-maxing it with cooldowns and stuff. All right, I think that pretty much covers everything for Holy Priest. We got through that pretty quick. Thank you so much for watching. Again, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Keep an eye out for the Healing Out Loud videos. Those will be coming as soon as I get all my characters leveled up and Mythic Plus unlocks and stuff. And then I hope you guys are enjoying Dragonflight. I know I am. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.